Hi, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Careers 101. Navigate and accelerate your career in data analytics. And huge thank you to all of you who have tuned in to this broadcast. And we have a very special edition planned out for you. We have a very special guest who's going to be joining us in just some time. So welcome, and hope that the transmission, the broadcast going across to all of you is clear. You can hear us clear, you can see us, and we are going to follow the pattern of a Q&A or an interview session in the beginning for around the first 30 minutes, and then we will have a larger Q&A for all your questions towards the end. So it's a total of a 1 hour program. So stay tuned, and please hold all your questions towards the end. I'll open it up for questions from the audience towards the end of the session. So coming to the topic for the live session today, I'm Annesha, and I am part of the Math Company. I'm part of the marketing team, and it has been an absolute pleasure to have my guest here for today for this very trending industry topic right now. That is how to navigate and accelerate your career in data analytics. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest for today, Mr. Sayandeb Banerjee, who is the co-founder and CEO of the Math Company. Welcome, Shayan.
Thank you, Annesha. My pleasure.
A little bit of introduction to all those of you who are joining us today for this live session. Sayandeb Banerjee has been part of the analytics industry since its nascency, and he has an illustrious career that spans over 25 plus years. In this long stint in the analytics industry, Shayan has spearheaded pivotal analytics transformations for organizations. His breadth of expertise and entrepreneurial roles, has been around building high caliber teams. And he has established hiring and training best practices. He spearheaded innovation and led several marketing and communications initiatives, while also being a founding member of large enterprises and centers of excellence. As CEO of the Math Company, Sayandeb currently leads the overall organizational strategy and enables Fortune 500 companies and equivalent businesses to create impact through data driven decision making. He is also a passionate advocate for holistic employee growth and wellness, and facilitates people centric initiatives as well as a culture of learning through the Math Company's in house growth accelerator coach. We're going to ask a lot of questions of Shine today, and hopefully, all of you, those of you, in the process of transitioning, pivoting, or even growing in your careers in analytics, will have your answers. So, Shine, thank you again for making time for us. And the very first question that the audience and all of us would like to know is, can you tell us a little bit about your professional journey in the field of data science?
Well, it's first thing that strikes me that it's been long. I have been in this space for almost 25 years now. So as you can imagine, have been quite opportunistic, and you're quite lucky to get into this space very early on. I'm talking of a time when this was not really known to everyone. There is not so much of buzz around all data science, AI, ML, and things like that, right? I mean, it was hard to even explain people on what is analytics. So that's the time, when I got an opportunity, right out of my college days to get into this space, and all through have seen this industry, really evolve and grow very closely. If you look at my overall journey, you can break it up into three parts. The first part was on the enterprise side. So I started with G, mostly G Capital. I initially started my career in Bangalore, India, working for global businesses of G Capital in this space of data and analytics. Towards the end of that phase of my career, I moved to the US in Connecticut with GE Consumer Finance, and played a very interesting role for a new product launch, and building the whole analytics setup there. Um, Post that, I moved back to India. Quite some time back, almost 17 years now, and that's when the second phase started. My journey with Mu Sigma. I'm sure most people here would know the name. I was a founding team member, the first one to join the founders, and work together to build that company from scratch to be the largest pure play data analytics company at one point of time. So great ride for 11 years, working across a variety of clients across different industries, solving a variety of problems, but more importantly, as you also mentioned, Anisha, in your introduction, building teams, building capabilities, that really can have a long lasting impact. About 6 years back, I moved out of my previous company, and subsequently, that year, co-founded the Math Company with two of my co-founders, Aditya Kumbakonam and Anuj Krishna. Three of us, wanted to start this company, something which is very modern, which is very time appropriate in this space of data analytics. And for this last 6 years, having a great ride, I would say. When people ask me, I generally say it's been so far so good. But really excited about the next 6, 12, 18 years, honestly, because of what this space and the potential that it holds for all of us. So that's how I'll summarize my journey so far, Anish.
Thank you for sharing that very, very interesting phase it has been, Shayan. And I feel that the industry itself has changed a lot. And today, all kinds of data engineering and data science jobs are like hot ticket items. They're considered the most trending jobs in the market, and it has come up even in LinkedIn surveys. So my next question to you would be around the fact that data almost is like a currency these days, and a lot of mid-level professionals and even mid to senior level tech professionals are pivoting into the industry of data analytics. So what is your advice for such professionals who are pivoting into this industry?
Yeah, my advice is very simple. You are most welcome. It's a great decision. It's a right decision, because the future is data, right? I mean it has been established now. We are not living in 2005 and 6, where I was starting my previous company. When we had to really evangelize the power of data to many large organizations across the globe. Today, that question has been removed, right? I mean, it has been established that the future is digital, and anything which is digital means that it has a data along with it, and deriving insights out of that data comes hand in hand. So great place to be in. The main thing that I want to emphasize on is, for particularly what you said, mid professional, people in the middle of their career, right? They're trying to switch. Say they have been in core information technology, they want to switch. Somebody has been in banking, they want to switch. And I've seen some people doing it, kind of great moves, right? They've switched, and they have been super successful. I've seen that already happening. So there is absolutely no reason to not do that or not think of. But the main thing that one needs to be very clear in their mind, that when you're switching, you have to take two steps back or one step back to move two steps forward, right? I mean, that always goes hand in hand. So the first thing that will be extremely important is to learn quite a few tricks of this industry, right? So you may have a strong hold on technology. You may need to learn math. You may kind of have a good sense of math. You may need to learn technology. You may know both of them. You need to bring in business. You need to understand problem solving, design. It is a multi there are multi dimensions, right, to this particular kind of work. It is not just technology, it is not just maths, it's not just business, right? All of these put together. So I'm pretty sure that people, whoever is looking to move into this space, needs to start with a mindset that, look, I have to go back to my college days, learn, and if need be formally, kind of, take on some learning education, go through programs, go through courses, and
Right.
then, kind of look to, move forward and build your career. So be prepared to go back to college days, kind of to start again. If you have not probably coded for a long time, go back to those, fundamental roots. As long as you are open to do that, all that you have done and learned so far can also be leveraged on top of that to give you a, kind of a good start in this space. So learning is going to be very, very critical.
So all of you who are listening in, and you want to transition into this, learning is key, and also going back to the basics. And basics is something that is very special to the Math Company, and we'll talk more
In fact,
about it. Uh,
Anisha, I thought
yes, yes, sure,
I'll mention one more point.
sure,
We strongly believe that, for this industry to grow holistically, right, we need
right,
also people from other disciplines, people who have been in code information technology, building softwares,
yes,
maybe on the
yes,
networking side. They all need to come in. And with that in mind, we at the Math Company have created a program, a program called, I think, Make a Move, right? I
yes.
mean,
The Make a Move program. Yes,
Make a Move program has been created for those professionals that you just talked about, right? To make a switch. So come, kind of join us, go through that learning phase, and build your career, at least with Math Company to start with, right? So we are open to make that transition happen for those professionals.
right. So, Shayan, would you like to elaborate a little bit more on how the Math Company is enabling this transition for people who are coming from non-analytics backgrounds, and via the Make a Move program?
Sure, sure. As I said, we recognize that in order for this industry to go ahead, to progress, and for us as a company to grow and to scale, we, kind of have to, get people from many different fields with, kind of the different kind of thought process and mindset they bring in. Now,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
we also understand that they may not have, some of the required skills for this
Right,
specific industry to start with, right? And we are open to that, right? As long as we, find the basic ingredients, kind of in place, somebody who is, logical enough, reasoning power is good. And we obviously do some, basic evaluation, but we don't evaluate them on analytical skills, because we know that they are coming from a different background. So we are open to do that. We are open to invest, as much as more than 3 months, just on pure learning for these people through our, learning in-house learning program coach, Anusha, that you mentioned in my
right,
introduction. And kind of make them, ready for this industry while being part of the Math Company. So you don't really have to take a break, right, from your career, go and, do some of these diplomas, degrees, whatever it is, for 6 months,
yes,
9 months, 1 year, spend a lot of money. Obviously, many of them are
right,
are very, very expensive. So just that thought may be deterring a lot of people to make that move. And we felt that, for us to be a leader in this industry, we have to facilitate that and make that happen for the right kind of people who are, you know willing to and open to, make that move, take a, couple of steps back, so that they can really move forward and surge forward in their career, in their journey. So we are doing all of those. So as I said, they will come in, they'll spend 3 to 4 months purely learning. Then they will be, kind of part of one of the project teams, maybe for a little bit shadow an existing team, so that they completely understand the nature of the working. And then, the sky is the limit. I mean, you go and fly and do what you kind of can do best.
Thank you so much for that. It's not that we get to see this very often. That so much of thought goes behind the the learning and transition into a new field. And would like to explore this a bit more. We're seeing a lot these days, Shayan, that there are a lot of professional courses that have come up, especially in in the pandemic when people were really learning from home. So there's a lot of these data science and analytics certifications, professional courses. But apart from that, apart from this digital education, how else can professionals who are pivoting into this or have even been in this, if they want to move to a a better role, then how can they show sort of proof of work or showcase the kind of skill sets that they have?
It's a good question. It's not easy, right? So when you have done
Right.
one of these professional courses that is more or less standard and people acknowledge it, it becomes easier for sure, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'll tell you what I have seen and what works quite well, right? First of all, even while people are in a certain job, right?
Hmm.
There are there are elements of data and analytics in that job as well. I have seen hr
Yes.
professionals hr
Hmm.
professionals who has demonstrated a good amount of analytical mindset and thinking, right, working with hr data, analyzing that
Hmm.
data, taking up action.
Hmm.
So in most jobs you are in, right, you can, if you really are passionate about this area, you can
Right.
see if there is a kind of a data side of your job
Hmm.
that you can explore more and bring that to the table when you are looking for an opening here. That is one.
Hmm.
I have seen people who have one, obviously there is a self learning element also. Today there are enough and more out there, right, where you did not necessarily do a full fledged professional course, but there could be some amount of self learning. But along with that, if you can dabble with some data and create something, that becomes a fantastic work product to bring along, and you can do that very easily. There are enough and more of these hackathons that happens today, right? I mean, there are
Yes.
so many different organizations that conduct these hackathons, and some of them are of fantastic quality. The best part of the hackathon that there is a problem statement and there is data, right? you
Right.
kind of can marry them, and even if you not are the winner of the hackathon, right, the
Hmm.
work that you have done will speak for itself. Then there is
Right.
things like kaggle, right? I mean, there are so many challenges that are always on in kaggle. You can probably again
Hmm. Hmm.
go
Hmm.
in and do something like that.
Hmm.
So these are the hard skills. I can tell you what we as a math company would look for in
Sure.
lieu of some of these standard certifications, because I already spoke
Hmm.
about make a move, right? So in order
Yes.
to even qualify somebody for make a
Hmm.
move, right,
Hmm.
what would I look for? Because if I am already looking for a certification, then why even create a program like make a move? Honestly,
Yes.
or we as a company would look for, first of all, a completely learning mindset. I'm
Hmm.
sure people here know this whole fixed mindset, learning mindset, right? So we
Right.
would
Right.
absolutely look for learning mindset, see how you can demonstrate that, see how you
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
demonstrate passion for
Hmm.
something in life. It can be for what the work that you're doing. You can
Hmm.
find a lot of passion for that. I have seen people who are very passionate about, say, photography, right? If you're
Yes.
really passionate about it, the belief is that you can always pick up, learn, and excel in another space as well. So demonstrate passion, demonstrate learning abilities,
Hmm.
demonstrate curiosity, kind of very important. So these are probably a little bit softer side. I mean, I started by
Yes.
talking about some
Right.
hard skills, but there
Yes.
are enough and more of these softer skills that you can demonstrate as well.
And I think that's a super important kind of insight that our audience can really benefit from. The fact that we always think of these technical skills that we need to upskill in, and it's pretty straightforward, but in terms of the other skills, the softer skills also that you need, that is something that is missed out. So curiosity, openness to learning, being passionate about a certain
Certainly.
area of your work, all of that matters. So moving from your transitioning into the career, Shayan, I would like to talk a little bit about the state of the industry, that is the VUCA world that we are living in. right now. And that is a word that we hear across industries, and it represents truly the unpredictability that we've seen of the digital world, especially. So, what kind of mindset or attitude does a professional need to have to really tackle such situations in a VUCA world?
Sure. For the uninitiated, I can probably expand. We are talking about a volatile world, an uncertain world, a world that is changing very rapidly, right? I mean, all these disruptions that are happening around us. Honestly, it's a great question, and this is something that I have been thinking very deeply about for quite some time. And I will fall back on some of the core values that we have as math company, and I'll
Right.
explain to you why. I mean, it's not only about the math company, but we say that we have six values. Those values are abbreviated as basics. These are our basics. This is our way of working. BASICS. I think in the course of this conversation, I'll bring back basics multiple times, so audience has to be okay with it. But I'll give you specific examples as to why that is important. I'll take up two elements from that six values. In
Right.
basics, you have two S, right? S and S. So one S stands for speed, and the other stands for simplicity. Now let's talk about speed for a moment, right? Speed is one essential characteristic, fundamental characteristic that is super important to not just survive but do well in this VUCA world, right? It's very intuitive. It's not very difficult to understand, right? Gone are the days where you can really wait to collect all forms of data, analyze that in your mind, and then take the best possible action, right? Now, what will happen in this world? By the time you take that action or make that decision, the world would have moved on, right? That the decision is no longer relevant. So speed of action, speed of thought is very, very important. What it also means is that when you act with that kind of a speed, I love I'm not endorsing any brand, but I'm
Right.
sure all of you know the tagline of Nike, which says just do it, right?
Just do
I
that.
think it
Yes.
is so very applicable in this world to do well, to survive in this world, that you have to be biased towards action, biased towards action with speed, right?
Hmm.
And if you do that well, please keep in mind that you won't be correct 100% of the times. There will be situations where because of lack of data to make a decision with a little bit. And by the way, it's not with haste and speed are very different elements, right? I mean,
Hmm.
haste,
Hmm.
I will completely kind of ask you not to take actions or make decisions in haste, but you make decisions
Hmm.
with speed. And if you do that, there will be, I don't know how many percentage of times, 10%, 20%, you will fail. It will not be the right decision, it will not be the right action. But again,
Hmm.
be prepared to acknowledge that with speed, and that is what is called fail fast, right? I mean, we keep talking about it, but truly
Yes.
embrace that you will act with speed. You'll acknowledge that you are not this is not the right path, right? I mean, fail fast and then move on to the next action, right? That will go
Hmm.
there. So speed is extremely critical. And I think what I keep saying is that it is extremely important that particularly
Hmm.
organizations enable kind of that culture of acting with speed. Because if you enable that culture, you have to be tolerant to
Hmm.
some of these mistakes and wrong steps that will also happen, because things
Right.
were not procrastinated but they were done today. And you can be very sure that all of them won't be the right one and the super successful ones, right? So there will be
Yes.
this chart. So speed is going to be important.
Hmm.
The other one that I spoke about is simplicity. By the way, being to be simple is not easy. Simple is the most difficult thing, right? I'm sure you'll acknowledge that some of your tutors, some of your professors, some of your teachers from
Yes.
school that you really really liked are the ones who could make things very simple for you, right? They could
Hmm. Hmm.
translate it into simple English instead of
Hmm. Hmm.
hiding behind jargons. And the
Yes.
reason you can do that when you have good kind of grip on that subject, right? But
Yes.
you have to practice simplicity. You have to practice simplicity, because the more complex it is, more time will be spent, effort will be spent in translating that, and that you don't have time for that. That is all that I'm talking about. You don't have so much of room. Earlier days, people used to say, I'll give you one simple example, right? When we were naming our company, right? In the earlier days, the traditional thing would be, don't make it too obvious. Give it a name that will have a little bit of a mysticism around that. People have to discover the real meaning. Gone are the days. I mean, we decided to name our company the Math Company. Yes, it's a very cool name. It's a very attractive name, but most importantly, it's a simple name, right? It immediately tell most of the people. If I say the Math Company, I think they get it. They understand that we deal with numbers and therefore with data, and maybe we do something with data, right? And then you can always guide them to the exact nature of your work and things like that. You don't spend a lot of time and effort to translate and tell people, oh, this is who we are and what we do. Because in this
Yes.
VUCA world, again, and if you are not simple, if your kind of final outcome is not simple, you might lose the opportunity to demonstrate the value of it altogether. So speed and simplicity, please, I'll urge everybody to think a little deep into this and see if we are embracing that in our day-to-day actions.
So embracing speed and simplicity is something that Shan talked about for all individuals who are transitioning into not just this industry, but also into the career professions and journeys that they have chosen. So Shayan, I want to switch from the individual to the leadership aspect of things. So often we see that in the analytics industry also we have a lot of first time managers. So in their career journey they are very well suited to their jobs, and they have probably maybe upskilled for that, they are ready for that. But in terms of managing or leading other people, there are some gaps that come up. So what would be your suggestions, your advice for first time managers in the analytics industry specifically?
Great question, Anisha. And we see that on a daily basis, right? There are great analysts, great data scientists, great engineers, right? Who on their own are very very effective. Can done amazing work. But at some point of time, I think we all realize that in order to create a bigger impact, I cannot just do it myself, right? I have to have more people around me. And as a group, we have to create a bigger impact. And that is where this whole question of being a manager or being a leader comes up. Now, everywhere it's a challenge. It's a challenge in our industry, because we are mostly left brained. I mean, that's the starting characteristic of many of us. I mean, I'll even include myself into that category. And when your left brain, you think everything kind of from a very logical sense. What happens is IQ becomes primary, and EQ, which is emotional quotient, takes a backseat,
Emotional.
right? So
Right.
my main ask and questions for people is, please look at yourself and see where is your emotional quotient. And a simple way to you know get that out, or bring that out in yourself, is by practicing what I call as empathy. The first rule of being a leader, I don't like the word manager. I really really look at people as leaders, because I'm leading a group of people towards a certain value creation. In that journey, right, in that journey, I would really really urge everyone to really practice empathy. If you are empathetic, because empathy means the first thing that you have to change from doing to listening, right? I mean, it's a big shift. I mean, I'm saying that very easily. I know it's very easy to say, but it's a big deal, right? I mean,
Hmm.
somebody who has
Hmm.
been a doer, right, who has done
Right.
amazing work, to not
Hmm.
just be doing but be listening to what others
Hmm.
are saying and proposing and ideating is a big
Mm.
one, because if you can listen, you can build empathy, and empathy is the first and primary thing that will make you a at least will start getting you to be a good leader. And that's the starting journey of EQ of yours, emotional quotient. Then people will kind of feel that, and they will act accordingly. So empathy and listening to create that empathy are very, very important. I'm not, obviously you have the right kind of hard skills, that got you here. Now, in order for even you to inculcate those hard skills in your team members, many a times that becomes a frustration, that, well, I could have
Yes.
done this in 5 minutes. Why am I
Right.
spending half an hour? Well, that is the reality, because I can do it in 5 minutes, but then I can do only 6 packets of work in half an hour. But if I can
Mm.
get 10 people to do that even in half an hour, the total impact that will be created will be much more. Instead of 6 times, it will be 10 times that I can create, right? So in order to create bigger impact, we have to take people along. And to take
Mm.
people along is what you're talking about, the leadership side of stuff. And for leadership, the first and foremost requirement is empathy and the power of listening.
And I think, Shayan, that really ties back to, again, the basics and individuals matter. So, if you focus on the individual mattering, you will move together and move ahead as a team much better and much
Ab-
stronger.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
in our basics, I stand for individuals matter.
Yes.
The whole thought process stems from this whole question of empathy, right? If you can really understand every individual, kind of their strengths, their weaknesses, their shortcomings, their passion, their vision, their dreams, right? All together, you will do a much better job in kind of being a leader and leading that pack.
Uh, Thank you for that, Sharon. That was, I think, empathy is something that not a lot of leaders, focus on. And I think for
Yeah.
first-time managers, especially, it would be a great thing to start off with. So the journey that every career professional is on, it is continuous. And today, as we see, the world of work is changing constantly. So there needs to be a lot of upskilling for every professional. There needs to be continuous learning, as you also started off with learning as one of the key things. So you have worked extensively with coach in the math company, and could you tell us a little bit about how in the math company data analytics professionals and practitioners, how do they integrate learning and upskilling?
Great question. When we started the math company 6 years back, right? The first thing that we acknowledged, that in because given where the industry is, right? It's not a very mature industry. Even today, I would say that while there is so much of kind of a buzz and talk around it, it is still, I wouldn't say it's kind of a very early stage, but it's still nascent. It's not very matured and very developed. It is evolving. Now, in that industry, for you to create something meaningful, right? Create something which is long lasting, impactful, an institution, you cannot be just hiring talent from the market. You have to create talent, right? And we know that that talent creation, kind of as a philosophy, will be important at every stages, not just for fresh graduates. Obviously, kind of people who are starting their career in this field, they have to go through enormous amount of learning for sure. But at every stage, we all have to go through learning, because not just because of the VUCA world that you spoke about, it's also because of the characteristic of this industry and this, the whole technology space, the rate at which it is changing, right? Something that I was really great at, I was a wizard, I was a magician, in SQL 10 years back. Today that won't take me forward, right? So there is a need for constant learning, upskilling, sometime unlearning, kind of what worked in the past, because that will not take you forward. And for that, what we have done, we have created this in-house learning program. Not just created, I would say heavily invested, as a young company in your first year of existence, heavily invested with the right kind of people, practitioners, who otherwise could have been solving these problems for our clients. are focused on, creating talent, upskilling talent, and creating this culture of constant learning, right, in the organization. We take it very seriously. It is not just, kind of an L&D program on the side. We look at coach, our learning, internal learning program, as a competitive advantage, right? And that applies at every stage. We obviously get people on the path, on the journey, for the fresh hires, and for people as they continue in the journey, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, even 10 years into the journey. There is need for upskilling yourself, learning new things, because things are changing. I've seen people. I can take myself, right? I mean, what worked for me, kind of even 10 years back, don't work today. I have to constantly learn and keep up with, what's happening, what's the latest and greatest. How will that work? How will that change the, a particular, solutioning, landscape, and so on and so forth. So that constant, learning is inculcated through coach, and that becomes a very integral part of your journey with the company. I tell people that, gone are the days when your education ends with your college days. Once you graduate from your college, yes, you can say your formal education has ended, but that's when really the next set of education that starts, which will has to be for life, till you are working, till you are alive. I think some amount of learning has to happen.
So just a message for all of you listening in. This the learning is, is something that is learning is continuous. Learning is something that's lifelong, and so you need to also make that, initiative, and you should be learning more about your industry, your profession, to move ahead, and of course, get better at your job, but also support others. And Shayan, on that note, I think because of so much of investment and focus on your people, you have recently, like, the Math Company, and has been recognized as one of the great places to work. It has been officially certified, and I really want to congratulate the entire team that has worked behind this, and has brought this recognition in. So, Shayan, with that, I want you to just answer this question that everyone is asking: that how would you describe the Mathco culture?
um it's a $1 million question. How do I, I think there is one very, very fundamental element that leads to every other things about the culture, right? That, and I'll start again with basics. The I of that basics, which means individuals matter. The culture of the Math Company is where individuals matter, and I'll explain and elaborate on that a little bit. When you believe, strongly, and it is deep inside, that individuals matter, the first thing that you do, every individual, depending on, no matter what level you are, whether you're the CEO of the company, where you're the analyst that has just joined, if you're head of engineering, you're doing marketing, you're a finance professional, irrespective of what you do, you become accessible to others, because the individual matters. So if the individual approaches you with something, help, question, doubt, thoughts, debate, whatever it is, you become accessible. Now, the culture of the Math Company is embedded, or kind of ingrained in this basic premise, that every individual matters and every individual is accessible. Now, what happens because of that is that when your superiors, your managers are accessible, it becomes an open culture, right? It becomes a culture that people talks about. It's not hierarchical, it is more flat. When your peers are accessible, it becomes a collaborative culture, right? You collaborate, you know that, I can you can, easily approach this individual, and together we can create this solution. There is no pushback, or kind of any kind of barrier to do that. So it becomes, a thing like that. When you're, kind of, you are accessible to your, team members, kind of, it again becomes a learning oriented culture, because people feel free to, kind of, clarify their doubts, ask questions, and constantly learn from you. So at every level, right, if each individuals are accessible to others, I believe it becomes an open culture. It becomes a learning culture. It becomes a collaborative culture. It becomes a flat. So that's what the Math Company, essence of us is. And again, I'll go back to talk about basics, our fundamental values, which defines our culture. For those who are still wondering what it is, B in basic stands for building deep relationships, which I just spoke about, right? If you're open, if you're interacting, you will build relationships, right? It is not just about, you know, Annesha does marketing, I'm the CEO of the company. It is about, Shayan and Annesha interacting as two human beings. So building deep relationships, A stands for ambition and hunger. Very, very important for an organization to push ahead. There has to be hunger in the belly, as we say, and we have to be ambitious, right? So that's something that we inculcate. I've talked about the two S's, speed and simplicity. I stands for individuals matter, and C stands for creating elevated experience, right? Creating elevated experience both internally for our own teams at various junctures, and kind of creating elevated experience for our clients and other stakeholders.
So this is almost towards the end of our interview, and just have one more question for Shan. So the rest of the audience who have been listening in, can you start sharing your questions? I will just ask this final question, and then we'll be taking your questions in a short Q&A. So keep sharing your questions and post them in the comments, and we'll get to you shortly. So, Shine, what next? That's the only question that I have. Where do you see the math company in the future? What are some challenges that you foresee?
Sure. See, I think in our first about 6 years now of our journey, I think we have seen some great traction. Right, we are working with some of the best known brands in the world. We are creating some very, very impactful solutions. We have created this proprietary platform called Codex that is helping us to differentiate ourselves. We have created a great culture, a great workplace. Even if it is virtual.
Hmm.
Obviously, we want to take this forward, without slowing down, right? We want
Right,
to
right.
continue ahead, surge ahead at that
Hmm,
same
hmm,
speed. So we have roughly doubled in size every year for the last 6 years, and we
hmm,
absolutely aim to continue that streak for the next 3, 4, 5 years at least. Now what that means that
hmm,
you're aiming to become a leader, right, in this
hmm,
space of niche data analytics play, kind of,
hmm,
and
hmm,
really solve the maximum number of problems that exist out there. That is our vision. That is where we are heading towards growth. A lot of things are well positioned to make that happen. The only
hmm,
thing you asked me about challenges, right? I mean, it's a very interesting way to look at it. A lot of the time the challenges are more external, right?
hmm,
Market
hmm, hmm,
forces,
hmm.
competition, so and so forth. I
Right.
strongly believe that our biggest challenge is we ourselves, right? Our ability to transform and scale from here, right? I mean, there's a saying, and nowadays I'm really living it on a day-to-day basis, which says that what got you here will not take you there,
Hmm.
right? It's
Right.
a very simple saying, but it is so deep, right? It shows up in every possible kind of things that you can think of. So what brought us here, how can you kind of unlearn some of them, kind of really transform yourself for this stupendous growth in front of us. I think that is what the biggest challenge is. Kind of, you can be your own limit, right? And you have to break that ceiling, you have to break that limit. So as long as we are constantly pushing in that direction, we are aware of where we need to evolve, where we need to change, and make those changes in the right time. I think the sky is the limit, honestly.
And on that very encouraging note, I'd like to move into questions. So, Shubham Sahai is asking, he says it's a great discussion. And he says, please, can you explain how organizations can encourage employees to embrace a learning culture?
Sure. See, the first thing of a learning culture is, again, I'll keep going back to some of the reference from basics or stuff like that. Um, it is about kind of really setting a standard, kind of excellence, right, in the organization. So if you start by setting a standard of excellence, then people can start realizing that, look, there is a gap. Kind of, this is, if you have to first show kind of what is good, standard of excellence, then people can start realizing, oh, there is a gap, I need to bridge that gap, and bridging that gap is nothing but learning, right? I'll have to learn this more, I have to practice this more, I have to go deeper into this mathematical concept, I have to go even superior into this particular technology, so and so forth. There are many kinds of learning, softer skills, harder skills. The another one is setting a standard of excellence, showing what good is. But another very important aspect is creating a environment, a safe environment to fail. Because every time you embrace a learning culture, which means that if I learn something and I learn something new, I'll have to apply it, right? And you'll apply it for the first time, which means that you have to encourage experimentation, and experimentation means that you will fail, right? In some of the experiments, if all experiments are successful, then it's not experimentation at all, it's a very safe route. So creating that, the reward structures that you create, what you reward, what you kind of rebuke within the organization, can create that overall environment of experimentation. And that, along with this, setting the standard of excellence, can absolutely create this virtuous cycle of learning.
Thank you so much. And Shubham, hope that answers your question. Others, please post your questions for Shayan in and around the topic of navigating and accelerating your career in data analytics, and anything else that you would like to know. Meanwhile, Shayan, I had one more question. A lot of people who enter the industry, they also have an entrepreneurial kind of mindset. So, what are your thoughts about that? And, how do you feel that it's something that is actively encouraged, and how can people go about?
Sure. No, I think having an entrepreneurial mindset is a fundamental layer for doing great stuff, right? I mean, you cannot kind of create great outcomes. You cannot create fantastic value. You cannot create great impact, right? If you look at things as a job, right? Oh, I have been asked to do this and I'm doing this. As long as that mindset is there, you will probably kind of just about scrape through.
Right,
However,
right,
what does entrepreneurial mindset? Entrepreneurial mindset means that here is a piece of work, it's a project, it's a whatever function that I'm doing, the ownership, feeling that this is mine, I'm responsible for creating value and creating impact, right? Using this, the if you're thinking it as yours, forget about my manager has asked me to do this, my kind of bu head, kind of, if you can ignore all of these and say, here is something that I am running with, this is my work, this is my project, this is my deliverable, and I own this, and I will ensure that this sees success and the maximum level of success that it can. That
right,
mindset will absolutely you know can create, we will always look for people with entrepreneurial mindset, no doubt about that.
right,
More is the entrepreneurial mindset, the higher is the chances that they will be successful, they will be great team members, they will create a change kind of around them. So that is very very important. All of you again should reflect on today, are you being entrepreneurial, right? In your you don't need to be an entrepreneur to start a new business. Even in your current job, probably for a large multinational or for a large services organization or a large product organization, you can own a piece of work as mine, and deliver the best possible outcome out of that. So it's a great thing. And wherever we see a little bit of that, right? And that
right.
entrepreneurial stuff, we'll be, and that goes back to when you're talking about switching career, right? If we
Yes,
find somebody entrepreneurial enough, right? I don't care whether they know some of these skills, they'll pick up skills, and skills are because attitude is so much more important, right? Attitude cannot be built and created, skills can be picked up at any point.
all right. And with that, Shayan, we have the next question. This is from Ravi Jagdish Bridji. He says, if one is transitioning into data science from various domains, that's different domains, does he choose one of the domains to move ahead in data science, or move into the new domain and then superimpose his learnings into the new area.
Yeah. Um, so by different domain, I'm assuming that you're talking about somebody, say, who is today in banking, right? So when I move into data science or analytics, kind of, do I necessarily focus on banking, or I am in the core pharmaceutical side, in the business side of stuff, right? I'm moving into analytics, or I'm in automotive, I'm moving into it. My strong and again, it depends on at what stage of your career you are, right? I mean, if you have spent, again, there is no hard number, but more than 10-15 years in a particular domain, and you're making a switch, obviously you have the strength of the domain with you. And by the way, domain and knowledge of the domain and knowledge of the business is a very, very important element of analytics as well, right? As I said, analytics is a good combination of mathematics, technology, and business, all coming together. So if you have spent significant amount of time and you have really, really deep knowledge, and you're also have to be passionate about it, and you are also passionate about it, then
Right.
learn some of the the tricks, techniques of how to look at data, how to analyze data, how to derive insights, superimpose kind of or even on that domain, and you can really take it to a very different level, right, than others. But if you're still at an early stage, I would say kind of 4 5 years, 6 years, it's still very early, right? And at that stage, you don't kind of go with the mindset that it has to be this particular domain. You learn the fundamental skills, explore a little bit. I hope you can
Right.
get into an organization. For example, if you join the math company, we work with so many different verticals, so many different horizontal functions. You can kind of do a few work around few of them and find your passion there, right? Because you'll be surprised that what you did for the last 5 6 years, after getting into analytics and solving a few problems in retail on consumer goods, though you have been doing banking so far, this is so fascinating, and you are doing so well. So you might, so it depends, right? I mean, how deep you are into this already.
Thank you so much. And Ravi, hope that answers your question. Shayan, we just have time for one more question. So I'll take Mallikarjun's question. He asks, what are the ways for a fresher to get into the math company as a fresher just out of colleges like NIT, and also someone who appreciates what data can bring changes into every single individual's life. So how data can bring changes. So
Sure. we we
basically,
we
he wants to know about
Yeah, so so
freshers.
so we hire a lot of freshers. We might have gone to your college as well. I don't know if you got an opportunity to sit through our recruitment process. Then, if you have not, please kind of go to our website. There is a whole careers page. Kind of apply there. A lot of people apply for the math company through that route. I'm sure we will kind of consider that. We are very open to look at freshers with the right mindset, right logical kind of mindset, and get them into this space. So it's very straightforward.
So hope you will be applying soon, Mallikarjun, and the others, those who have been listening in and those who have been sharing. Shayan, if you can see the comments and the feedback, it's a lot of it's actually been very very helpful for a lot of people, and there's a lot of appreciation that's come in. This is something that we will try to continue. If you have questions, then please share with us. Go and check out the careers page of Math Company. The link is in the comments. And if you can share your questions with me, maybe later on as a post or via our LinkedIn page, please follow that. We'll be able to share answers to all your queries around talent side of things, or even on hiring at Mathco. So you can go ahead, and as you can see with the latest comment, you can check out our open positions on careers on the careers site. And hope that all of you got some great answers. Shayan, again, thank you so much for making time for all of us. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you, and all the best to everyone.
Thank you, everyone.